Welcome in, everybody, to Monday Night Tailgate. I'm your host, Tyler Knaeble, at PPR Tyler on Twitter, and today we'll be talking about breaking down the Week 8 games, also a little bit Monday Night Football betting preview. Let's dive right into it. All right, we're back. Time to break down some Week 8, some takeaways from Week 8. Obviously, the biggest takeaways, quarterbacks dropping like flies around the NFL. Kirk Cousins, Stafford got they said UCL thumb sprain, only day-to-day, so that's fine. That's good for him. Not great for Kirk Cousins. Not great for Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson. We'll get to those guys in a minute. But Ritter, we'll see how that plays out. It sounds like he's going to start again, even after Taylor Heineke played so well in the opening matchup. But like I said, we'll see. Kenny Pickett didn't look great for him. Trubisky didn't look much better. And then you got Tyrod Taylor, Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones situation. Who knows what's going on there? Like, also quick rant on Tommy DeVito. If you have a starting your backup quarterback, that guy should be able to throw the ball like just a little bit. And they didn't even let him throw it all. If you're a backup quarterback on any roster, I don't care if the starter went down, you were the third string. If you're on an NFL roster, you should be able to throw the ball. So I don't understand that, but that's just the way the wind blows sometimes. But let's dive right into the quick take starting lineup from Week 8 at quarterback. We have Will Levis, 4 touchdowns against Atlanta's top 5 scoring defense. Fantastic debut, first start for Will Levis. We'll see if he can keep it up next week. I think they're on a short week. They play Thursday night. Forget exactly who they play, but Will Levis just obviously had to headline the quarterback position. Next, at running back, we have Breece Hall. Even with Zach Wilson, Breece Hall can be a difference maker for this Jets team and for your fantasy lineups. Breece Hall, he's lightning in a bottle. He can explode anytime, rip off a 50-yard touchdown whenever he touches the ball. So Breece Hall is at a running back spot. And the next running back spot, we have Alvin Kamara. Only if somebody told you to buy Alvin Kamara 3 weeks ago. Only if someone told you that. That's all I'm going to say. DeAndre Hopkins at the wide receiver spot has 3 touchdowns just so he can get traded tomorrow. It's just you probably didn't even start him. I didn't start him this week. I have DeAndre Hopkins, didn't start him, has 3 touchdowns because that's just how fantasy football works. You don't start them, they play good. I don't make the rules. Next receiver spot, we have Jahan Dotson. Like I said last week, he is a dynasty buy, and if you bought him, his price probably just went up a little bit now. Jahan Dotson is not dead. He is very much alive for Dynasty. And maybe we'll see a nice run of redraft play in 2023 for Jahan Dotson. Tight end, new year, but the same Taysom Hill. Go get this guy. He's catching the ball more than ever. He still proves he can rip off a 15-yard touchdown run. He's still the guy who's going to steal touchdowns. That's who Taysom Hill is. That's who he's always been. He's a touchdown machine. And that's all we care about in fantasy football is touchdowns. And the flex, is Javonte Williams back? We're 8 weeks in. He looks like he's getting better every week as they come along. ACL, knee looking great. Rips off, gets his first touchdown of the season against the Chiefs in their upset win over the Chiefs. So great for Javonte Williams. Was one of the most explosive runners in the league his rookie year and the beginning of last year. But you love to see it for Javonte Williams. Maybe, comeback player of the year, question mark. DeMar Hamlin's probably winning it, but love to see Javonte Williams doing what we know he can do. And the last spot, superflex. Sam Howell belongs in this league and in your lineups. He is playing outside of his mind against the Philly. He has torched the Philly defense 2 times. I think threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in both games he's played against Philadelphia. Great for Sam Howell. Now let's dive into the big takeaways. And the first takeaway I have is you need to sell Jordan Addison and TJ Hockenson for whatever you can get. And it's with a little asterisk. We'll talk about that right now. Right after week 1, I said you needed to buy Addison and Hockenson because of the pass-happy offense they were in, because of Kirk Cousins, because this defense was so bad. Defense actually played a lot better than I thought they would have, but didn't matter. Hockenson was giving you great numbers. Addison these past couple games with Jefferson out, giving you great numbers. And even at the beginning of the season, he had a touchdown in his first 2 games. Jordan Addison looks great. Hockenson looked great. Kirk Cousins goes down with the Achilles injury. And now we're left. Now what do we do? Now I don't know what to do with these guys because you can try and sell them, but who's buying? I don't know who's buying to do these guys. So Right now, I think for the next, at least for the next 2 games, it's probably to be Jaren Hall. I don't know if I'm playing Addison in my flex spot with Jaren Hall at quarterback or at my wide receiver spot. Hawkinson, you might not have much of a choice only because what other tight end are you going to start? So you might just have to suffer through Hawkinson. So I don't know really what to do there. But basically, all I know is that Jaren Hall is not the answer. I feel like I can say that pretty confidently. In his final season at BYU, his QBR was 79.5, 76th ranked, not great. His yards per attempt was 8.4, 64th ranked, not great. And like we're going from a situation where Kirk Cousins was leading the league in passing attempts and passing touchdowns, and now we're going to Jaren Hall, who has done nothing in this league. He was the player profiler's QB8 in this class. So I'm not sold on Jaren Hall. Also, the other quarterbacks on this roster, I guess Jaren Hall hasn't been like O'Connell's not committed to Jaren Hall. Still got Mullins, who's coming off the IR soon. They have Sean Mannion, but we know what Mullins and Mannion are. They're not doing anything for these guys. Absolutely don't. If Mullins or Mannion are in the game, you should not be starting any Vikings players. None whatsoever. And then you have the flip side of the coin. The Vikings could sign or trade for a veteran quarterback, like a Brissett, like a Jameis Winston, Teddy Bridgewater, just some of these guys. I saw Carson Wentz's name get floated out a couple of times. Case Keenum, the current third-string quarterback for the Texans, maybe he makes a return to Minnesota, creates a second Minneapolis miracle. That should be actually a series of miracles for them to make the playoffs with Case Keenum at quarterback. But you get what I'm trying to say. So basically, my advice on this whole what do you do with Hawkinson, Addison, and even Jefferson is wait until tomorrow's deadline. See if the Vikings trade for anybody, because I don't know who would they pick up that's going to make a real difference. Carson Wentz, no. Like Matt Ryan's going to come out of the CBS booth and be the quarterback. I don't think so. So wait and see if they trade for anybody. If they just decide, hey, we're going to go with Hall, Mullins, and Manning, you better if you hold on to Addison and Hawkinson, you better hope that like Jaren Hall is like the next Brock Purdy, because there's no trust. There's absolute zero trust in Jaren Hall that he can uplift these guys to any sort of fantasy success. I'm not sold whatsoever. So yeah, that's the first takeaway. Next takeaway. But before we dive to the next takeaway, drop in the comments. What do you need from Monday Night Football tonight? What do you need Gibbs to get a certain amount of points? Adams, Amon-Ra's playing tonight, great. Or do you need Daniel Carlson? That Daniel Carlson is playing today, in case you didn't know. That would have been, I actually have Daniel Carlson, need him to win me a week. That would have been tough if he didn't play. It's not great. But takeaway number 2, and I'm really excited about this one because I feel very confidently about this take, is what to do with this Indianapolis Colts backfield. Now, I am a little surprised that this has been as 50-50 as it's been. And 50-50 is exactly what it's been between Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. Now, over the past 3 weeks, we've seen pretty much an identical workload for both these guys. In Jacksonville, Zach Moss, 7 carries for 6 receptions. Jonathan Taylor against Jacksonville, 8 carries, 5 receptions. Cleveland, 18 carries and 1 reception for Zach Moss, 18 carries, 3 receptions for Jonathan Taylor. And then last week against New Orleans, 11 carries and 1 reception for Zach Moss, 12 carries and 1 reception for Jonathan Taylor. If you total them up, 36 carries for Moss, 38 carries for Taylor, 8 receptions for Moss, 9 receptions for Taylor, 39 PPR points for Zach Moss, 43 PPR points for Zach Moss. This is about as 50-50 as it gets. And there's actually a quote asking Jonathan Taylor like what he thought of this Colts backfield, and him and Moss kind of being 50-50. He's like, we could be scary. Well, you know who that's scary for is Jonathan Taylor managers, because they thought he was going to come back and be this 2021 version, number 1 overall running back, getting all the carries, breakaway ones for days. It's just not happening right now. We're seeing the Zach Moss show. If Zach Moss is the one who's having breakaway runs, I can never say that, breakaway runs. Say that 10 times fast. Anyways, Zach Moss also has two touchdowns. Taylor has 1, and yeah, Taylor has more yards, but like I said with Taysom Hill, touchdowns are king in fantasy football. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to buy one of these guys and sell one of them, I'm definitely buying Zach Moss and selling Jonathan Taylor, because Zach Moss just cost so much less, and you can sell Jonathan. You could probably sell Jonathan Taylor for like Zach Moss plus like a really solid flex option when you're basically getting the same thing from both. So if you're going to sell one, sell Jonathan Taylor. He's got the shiny name. He's got the new contract. He's got, like I said, the number one overall running back finish on his resume. Zach Moss doesn't have that, but they're giving you similar stats. And are we going to see Jonathan Taylor? Like, I just don't like. I don't know if we're going to see Jonathan Taylor take over this backfield like we thought he was when he came back. Like, is he going to get 65, 70% of these carries in this workload? I don't think he is, because why would they? Colts are playing decent football right now. It's not like their offense is really the problem. So I don't know if Shane Steichen wants to change anything. It's not like anyone in Philadelphia last year just absolutely like dominated all the snaps here. Yeah, Miles Sanders was good, but he wasn't. Kenneth Gainwell was involved. Boston Scott was involved. Like, maybe we just don't see that in a Shane Steichen offense. Maybe he's just Arthur Smith. Just kidding. That's like that. Those are fighting words if you say Arthur Smith's name. But anyway, if you can trade guys like Deonta Foreman, sell his good game from a couple weeks ago, James Cook, Imari DeMarcado, Najee Harris, guys like these, if you can sell these guys for Zach Moss, because Zach Moss's name it's not shiny. Nobody cares about Zach Moss. And maybe the person who owns Zach Moss knows how good he is, but I'm sure you could get a deal done. I'm pretty sure you could trade James Cook for Zach Moss. Someone would probably take that deal. So just something to be aware of is Zach Moss. It is Zach Moss season. It is not Jonathan Taylor season. Well, it's both their seasons, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right, first question, George. Do we have any updates on? I think he's 100%. I mean, I think they just said he was sick. So, I mean, I guess Bijan was sick too, and that didn't really work out for him and his managers. But I'm pretty sure Amon-Ra's fine. I think he's playing today. So as long as he's playing against this Raiders defense, who's like middle of the pack at best, sign me up. Sign me up for anything Amon-Ra related. That's a really cute dog, by the way. That's a cute dog. I don't know if that's your dog or if that's like just a picture you found off the internet, but I really like that dog. Anyways, takeaway number 3, and then we'll dive into the betting portion of the show. But takeaway number 3, this might be the most strongly I felt about anything all season, more than I'm trying to think of when I had the Alvin Kamara situation from a couple weeks ago. This takeaway, Burrow and the Bengals are back. You need to buy. You need to buy. You need to hold the line. We're never selling. We are buy on Burrow and the Bengals. All the reports coming into week 8 is that Joe Burrow was completely healthy for the first time this season. Now, sometimes these reports are BS. We see a whole bunch of reports throughout, especially in the offseason, during the season, like how many times has Dan Campbell said that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be more involved, and then he just never is unless David Montgomery is out. We've heard it plenty of times. Now, everyone's saying Joe Burrow's healthy off the bye. He's great. Well, if you don't believe the reports, you better believe the fact that Joe Burrow had 4 times more rushing yards in week 8 than he did in all of his previous games this season combined. So I don't forget the exact number he had, but he had more rushing yards, 4 times more rushing yards than he did in all the other games combined. That should tell you alone that Joe Burrow is AKA back. And his passing line, just a slight 28 for 32, which is 87%, 283 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Because of this, Jamar Chase finished with 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 5 catches, 69 yards. Joe Mixon, probably the biggest saving grace for just if he's on your team. Joe Burrow's success is directly correlated to Joe Mixon because that guy sucks. If he was on any other offense in the league, he would be out of the league. Joe Mixon finished with 16 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown. And keep in mind, this was all against the 49ers defense. Been a rough go of it for the past couple weeks for the Niners, but they're not a bad defense by any means. They're good at worst. At worst, they are a good defense. So now, like, the next part of this is, yeah, I say buy the Bengals, but how do you actually go about doing that? Because Burrow, Chase, those are big names you're trying to buy. So here's kind of what, and like I'm predicting that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase especially, they're going to be top 3 at their position for the rest of the season. They're going to, from this point on, they'll finish top 3 in wide receiver and quarterback scoring. So let's start with Burrow. Deals I would do for Burrow: Justin Herbert plus Justin Herbert straight. If it's like someone wants to trade me Joe Burrow for Justin Herbert straight up, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. But you'll probably have to do Justin Herbert plus Trevor Lawrence plus Tua Tagovailoa straight up. I'll trade Joe Burrow for Tua Tagovailoa straight up. And then I was thinking about it. after maybe it's recency bias, but after last night's game, I think if somebody offered me Joe Burrow for Patrick Mahomes straight up, I would take it. I think I would take it in a redraft setting because Joe Burrow he's just that guy right now. He is just like I've seen all I need to see. The one game is fine. He is healthy. Give me healthy Joe Burrow over whatever Patrick Mahomes is doing right now. I don't care that he had the flu. It's not even just last game. That Mahomes has not looked the best. Not saying you have to sit Patrick Mahomes, but Joe Burrow is that guy. Joe Burrow, I think, is going to outscore Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. That's my hot take for the night. Joe Burrow, baby. Now, moving on to Jamar Chase. This one gets extra tricky. I mean, every trade is different, especially when you're trading for like positional people. So here's kind of what I have written down. Any running back not named CMC or Travis Etienne, trade for Jamar Chase. Any wide receiver not named AJ Brown or Tyreek Hill, trade for Jamar Chase. And if you're trying to put like some sort of deal together, if you have Raheem Mostert, I would be spam offering. And I mean spam offering. I've done this. I've been spam offering for Raheem Mostert for top tier guys. Raheem Mostert, whoever your wide receiver 2 is, and a solid flex guy that sometimes sees your lineup, see if you can pry Chase off a team that probably has a losing record. And they see Raheem Mostert, they think he's going to be good. Achon's going to come back in a couple weeks. Jeff Wilson hasn't really taken over, but Mostert hasn't had that great of a past couple of games. Sell them the dream of weeks 1 through 6 and see what you can do. Because if you can get Jamar Chase on your team for Raheem Mostert and like Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, I would do that trade in a heartbeat for Jamar Chase. He is worth it. Again, not everyone will take it, but there will be some people who will take that trade. And then the last one is T. Higgins. Gabe Davis for T. Higgins in a heartbeat. George Pickens plus in a heartbeat. And Gus Edwards. Words cannot describe how fast I would hit the accept button if somebody offered me somebody offered me T. Higgins for Gus Edwards. Try and, like I said, sell the dream of Gus Edwards. Look at the past couple games. Gus Edwards playing out of his mind. Okay, that's not gonna be the case the rest of the season. Gus Edwards, he is who he is. He's not a 20 carry guy each game. Yeah, he's had some lucky touchdowns, but give me T. Higgins in the Bengals offense. This Bengals offense from this point on is going to be what we thought pre-draft, preseason, offseason. Bengals offense is about to explode. Get in while you still can. We're going to the moon. We are going to the moon. And the bottom line is this. When Joe Burrow is healthy, he plays good. When he plays good, others play good. His weapons play good. And when his weapons play good, your fantasy managers pay good. That's a little Deion Sanders tie-in for the SEO purposes for you. And that concludes the takeaway portion of the show. And now we're diving into the bets. The bets that I'm sure all of you have tuned in to see, because we've been on fire with the bets. At least last week, we went 3-1 last week, bringing our total record to 9-6-2. That is a winning record. KJ Osborne, Addison, Madison, the freest bets I've ever seen. CMC, not so free. I didn't include this in my record, but I did give out Danielle Hunter over half a sack. It was so free. It was always free. And I didn't count it toward the record, though. I did not count it toward the record because I'm a man of dignity. I'm a man of class. So Danielle Hunter over half a sack. I would like to call us 10-6-2, but we're 9-6-2. And I also said on the last show that if we went 3-1, I would crack a beer live on the stream. So this is what I have here, right here. No free sponsorships. So it's in here. If you can guess what it is, maybe, I don't know. I will not confirm nor deny what's in this can, but here's for all you ASMR people out there. Here we go. You ready? You sickos. All right. Here's what we have for week 8, Monday Night Football. Lions, Raiders. First bet is Josh Jacobs under 59.5 rushing yards. Detroit allows on average the second least rushing yards per game this season. They also have allowed just 15 total carries to running backs this season per game. 15 total carries to running backs per game. That's not just one running back. That's any running back. So it could be like 13-2. Like they average 15 total carries to running backs this season. So that's good for them as well because they're usually playing from ahead. Teams aren't going to run the ball if they're playing from behind. And that's what I expect to be the case here because The Lions they're a 7-point favorite. This game should be over in the third quarter, and the Raiders are not going to be rushing the ball. Also, Josh Jacobs, for all that money he wanted and all the money he honestly got this year, he's been pretty bad. Actually, he's been very bad. Josh Jacobs does not have a single game over 3.5 yards per carry. In any game, he's not had 3.5 yards per carry. His average is actually 3.17 yards per carry. And I even left out his negative yard per carry game. He had like negative 0.2 yards per carry. And because I'm a good human being, I left that out of my yards per carry projection for Josh Jacobs. So even going off the 3.17, it would take him 19 carries to get 60 yards, which is what you need on this bet. Also, I should have mentioned at the top, all these bets courtesy of Underdog. They actually have a Jared Goff free bet line over half a total yard. It's a free bet. So even if you hate one of my selections, I have 4 of them for you today. You can still pick 3 of them and have that free slot as part of your bet. So go on Underdog. I love Underdog. Underdog knows I love them. They see how much business I give over to Underdog. So go bet on Underdog. It is a great fantasy. It's like the only thing I bet on. I love Underdog. So no shout out, no free shout out. Anyways, Josh Jacobs under 59.5 rushing yards. It's a lock. It's a lock. Lock it in. You will thank me later. I don't know if Harry's in the chat. He said last week he tried to doubt my KJ Osborne bet. I said I'd DM him if KJ Osborne hit the over on receiving yards. And guess what? He hit the over on receiving yards, and I'm a man of my word. I DM'd Harry Snowman on Twitter, and I said, hey, KJ, all I sent was a GIF of KJ Osborne. Just thought I'd tell that story because Harry Snowman, a proud supporter of Player Profiler, and we love Harry. He's a great guy. So anyways, moving on to the next bet. We have the Jacobs under 59.5 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 99.5 rushing and receiving yards. Las Vegas allows 105 rushing yards per game and 30 receiving yards per game. You do the math. Just that alone, you do the math. 135 total yards per game to the running back position. Not only that, Gibbs has averaged 18.5 touches and 103.5 yards in the 2 games Montgomery has been out. Both of those were against better run defenses in Atlanta and Baltimore. Las Vegas, they're okay. They're not good. They're not bad. I would consider them okay. So automatically, you have to love the matchup there. Jahmyr Gibbs, we saw the electricity factory. He had a medium-sized touchdown run against Baltimore last week when they're getting blown out, but does not matter. Jahmyr Gibbs over 99.5 rushing and receiving yards, multiple outs for Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, if this game goes the way we think, they're going to be up. They're going to be running the ball. I don't want to see Craig Reynolds in the game. If I see Craig Reynolds get more than 5 carries, I don't know what I'll do, but it won't be great for society as a whole. So let's Craig Reynolds can chill. Give Jahmyr Gibbs, feed the boy. Dave Montgomery's not playing. Jahmyr Gibbs is your 12th overall pick. Feed Jahmyr Gibbs. And speaking of Reynolds, Josh Reynolds over 34.5 receiving yards. I always like to look at the bets and look at kind of what these players have done in their past games. Josh Reynolds has hit 34.5 receiving yards in every single game this season but one. And in that game where he didn't hit it, he had 0 catches. So that's kind of like an outlier game. Kind of how I did the thing with Josh Jacobs, I'm doing with Josh Reynolds. Marvin Jones is gone. He's there clear and away wide receiver 2. I think he gets 34.5 yards this game. And here, wait. Oh yeah. Oh, let's see. I didn't see this too. Kobe. See, that's a great name for a dog. I love Kobe. Okay, wait. I gotta pull this up again. Such a cute dog. It's like I can't get over it. Anyways, our last betting prop, and this one, I last week I said Alexander Mattison under rushing yards. It was a lock. I also bet that this weekend too because Mattison continues to be one of the worst running backs I've ever seen. Podfather was right. I didn't think he was gonna be right in the offseason. I actually drafted quite a bit of Mattison when Dalvin Cook was still on the Vikings. Doesn't matter. Podfather was right. I said Mattison last week was a lock. This is a lock. This bet I'm about to hand out right now. Jameson Williams under 26.5 receiving yards. Now, let me just give you the stats. First of all, Las Vegas is bottom 5 in explosive play, or I guess they're the 5th best in explosive pass plays allowed by the NFL. So they allow the 5th least explosive pass plays in the NFL. Jameson Williams only gets yards and scores on explosive pass plays. It's literally all he does. Jameson Williams, he has 9 games played in his NFL career. In 9 games played, he has two games with more than 2 receiving yards. Let me say that again. He has 2 games with more than 2 receiving yards in 9 games played. This season, he has played under 50% of the snaps in all 3 games he has played this season. Now, he had 6 targets last week against the Ravens. It's a career high for him, is 6 targets. He had 0 receptions, might I add. But that was a game where they were literally down from the get-go. They had to pass. J-Mo had to be on the field. And he was still on the field for under 50% of the snaps. I don't even know what else I have to say. This feels like the most free line. Now, I will say, both the games where he had over 2 receiving yards, it was like 40 or 50. Because that's, like I said, he's an explosive play guy. But I'm willing to go, if I lose because James Williams has a 40-yard touchdown, that's fine. This is the right process play. 2 of 9 games, he has more than 2 receiving yards. That means 7 other games you would have won this bet. So the odds are in our favor. The odds are definitely in our favor. So like I said, if this game goes the way we think with the Lions up, they're not going to be passing deep in the 4th quarter to Jameson Williams. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let's recap the bets. Josh Jacobs under 59.5 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 99.5 rushing and receiving yards. Josh Reynolds over 34.5 receiving yards. Jameson Williams under 26.5 receiving yards. That's on Underdog. That is 10x, whatever you put down. 10x. And like I said, the same rules apply. We go 3-1 this week. Another beer on stream. We go 4-0. I'll shotgun this thing on stream because that's how I want to go 4-0 for all of you. All the loyal viewers who listen to this show, we are going to go 4-0 this week. I feel great. Lions are going to win by this is tricky. I actually was on Minnesota last week. My pick, Lions win. Lions win by 6 points. They just missed the cover because Riley Patterson misses a field goal. That's all I got for you guys, and we are out of here.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.